Welcome to this training 10 minutes to a tender and emotionally intimate marriage without telling your husband he needs to change. I am so glad that you're here. This is all about the women to women secrets to create lasting intimacy in your marriage. And we have now shared these with hundreds of women worldwide who have experienced dramatic change in their relationship very quickly. So I am so excited to break this down for you today. I want to start by saying that I see you. I see you pouring your heart into your marriage, longing for that beautiful, tender connection with your husband, the kind of love where you feel truly seen, truly cherished. And maybe, like I once did, you've been wondering, why does it feel at times so far away? And for a long time, I thought that the key to a healthy marriage was to have all of this honest communication. So, talk about the issues. Here's what needs to change. But here's what I didn't realize. Every time that I insisted that here's the problem, okay, here's what you need to change, I was actually building a wall between us. And it's not because my husband didn't care, but because my words, even with the best intentions and even a good tone, still felt to him like criticism. And the more I pushed and insisted, the more that he resisted and pulled away. And it wasn't until I discovered something simple yet completely transformative that everything changed. Men respond lovingly to a language that touches their innermost hearts in ways that we as women do not intuitively realize or even understand. And when I began to use this language that touched my husband's innermost heart, I saw him just immediately soften. I saw him reach for me with an incredible tenderness. And then he just naturally kept asking me for more and more ways that he could please me and show me his love. And it's like I literally never had a fight with him again. And if an issue comes up, I now know exactly how I'm going to share my heart in a way that's going to attract his tender love to me with ease, right? I always know how to attract that response. So when I experienced this personally, I was like, oh my gosh, is this for real? Like, does marriage really get to be this good? Like, can it actually be this easy? Can actually be like this fun, and I started sharing these secrets and this transformation that I experienced initially with some other women, like whoever would listen. And the thing is, they also started experiencing that same tender result. Like it was amazing. And it was like I was unlocking somehow this code to connection with a man. And so I actually started sharing these secrets with women worldwide. Okay, why? Because I want that for you too, right? And I know exactly why and how that's possible. So if you're looking at your marriage right now and you're thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like he needs to change, like it's really, really clear, like he needs help, and you feel like you have been telling him this, but you haven't seen any real change in your marriage, like you haven't received an apology from him, right? You haven't seen him, respond lovingly to you. Okay, first of all, I want to tell you, I hear you. Okay, I 100% get it. And I'm going to explain to you why this is happening and what to do instead. Okay, I'm going to show you why this message to him, you need to change. Even though it feels right, like it's the truth, it's not only not going to give you the tender and intimate marriage that you desire, it's actually going to push him further and further away, right? It's actually creating emotional distance. So many women do not realize this, and so they don't actually realize how quickly their relationship can be completely turned around. Like in 10 minutes, you could start to see a completely different response from him. Because honestly, the problem is not the issues themselves, the issues that you're having. It's how you're talking about it. So you have likely tried a lot of things to try to improve your relationship with him, or maybe, get your husband to see like where you're coming from. So maybe you've tried telling him like what you think he needs to do, right? Haven't we all tried that? Haven't we all done that? But you don't see any real change, okay? And maybe having these awkward conversations, it just leads to arguments and fights, and then like he just doesn't even want to talk to you, right? So it feels so frustrating. And then when that doesn't work, maybe you've tried to just write to him instead. Like maybe you try to write him a letter or put it all in an email, kind of like explaining where you're coming from and what you think he really needs to do better. But again, you see no real change on his part, no willingness, from him to confront his issues, no action to step up and do his part to improve in the relationship. Or maybe things have escalated so much that you've actually tried to go into couples counseling, okay? Because honestly, you really care about your marriage. You know that it's sacred, and so you kind of figure to yourself, like, if only somebody else could get him to see that he needs to work on himself and change his behaviors, then the relationship could finally improve. The message underneath all of this honest communication is you are not good enough. I do not admire or respect you, and I will not do so until I see you change. Now, the truth is, dear beloved bride of his heart, is that you have changed, right? And now he is responding to you differently. Now, think about this. When you first got married, you thought the world of him, right? You thought he was just like the most amazing guy. And when he saw that in your eyes, then it was like, wow, like he would lasso the moon for you, right? But now, because you've lived together and you've actually seen his flaws with your own eyes, now you have chosen to focus on them. You're talking about what he's doing, right? You're telling him what's wrong with his behavior, right? And he sees that you have changed in how you see him. Okay, he's really smart, right? He sees that. So the more that you're telling him to change, the more you are actually wounding his heart. Okay, this sounds so crazy when women first hear it, but once you get it, you'll see that everything can be changed very quickly, right? The more that you're telling him to change, the more you're wounding his heart, and it's actually pushing him away from you rather than attracting him toward you. Okay, and this is why all of your attempts at all this honest communication, whether it's at home, whether it's in a letter or an email, whether it's before a pastor or a counselor, or a therapist, these have not worked. Okay. And not only have they not worked, you actually are seeing your relationship deteriorate even more. Okay. He starts acting crazier, like in ways you've never seen. You're actively witnessing your relationship getting worse. And because it gets worse and worse, you start to think that maybe there's actually something wrong with him. Okay. But I'm here to tell you, because I have seen it now hundreds of times, that your husband is completely capable right now of treating you with the most tender love, of listening to your deepest needs and desires, of taking action within 10 minutes of you sharing your precious heart. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Irene Alexander, and I am the founder of Adored for Life, where we heal and transform marriages by helping you be pursued and adored and tenderly loved in your marriage, right? And while I have tons of fancy letters after my name, honestly, my most important credential is that God saved me from my own blindness in my relationship. Because, like, I would consider myself a really, smart, loving person. And yet I was making mistakes that I did not realize. I didn't realize it. And luckily, I feel very blessed. I learned both through experience and also through study the real truth about the psychology of intimacy between husband and wife. Like the things that I thought I was doing right, I was actually doing wrong. And it was genuinely a surprise for me to realize it. And honestly, I believe that God really saved me from what could have been years of heartache, frustration, or even worse, so that I can share with you this incredible insight so that it will bless you, right? So that it will bless you like it's blessed me with a love that lasts a lifetime. So I do not teach, practice any of the common methods of all this honest communication that turns out actually is creating emotional distance instead of emotional intimacy. What I teach is how to have an intimacy-based relationship, not a problem-centered relationship, so that you can just immediately shift into enjoying closeness and a tender intimacy with your husband, right? Because of course you want that, right? You are the beautiful bride of his heart. Okay, but honestly, I know that you want more than that. You want your marriage to bless your kids. You want them to have an intact family, right? So that they can have great relationships with both you and their dad now and always, right? You want your marriage to be a blessing for you. You want it to be joyful and enjoyable, both for you and your husband. And even more than that, because it is much bigger than that. You want your marriage to be a sign of God's blessing in the world, right? So that God Himself is glorified through your marriage, right? That is lofty, and that is what you're here for. And the reality is, you cannot take your relationship to the next level of intimacy and profound joy if the way that you are sharing your heart with your husband doesn't result in an emotionally intimate connection with him. Now, interestingly, we do know from the data that 80% of the time, when there's an issue or a conflict among spouses, wives initiate it. Isn't that interesting? We are the ones who spend way more time bringing up the issues. Okay, so think about how critical this is. Okay, if the way that you share your heart is not moving him to tune into you emotionally, you will not have intimacy. Okay, it is literally this critical. And this is why you feel like you just keep having all of these talks, but you don't get intimate connection and you don't see any real change, right? And it's frustrating because like you're doing all the things that we've all been taught to do, right? You're honestly communicating about how you feel about what he's doing or what he's not doing, right? You're looking at what he's done in the past, okay, and how it's affecting you and the relationship right now and what you would like to see change. Okay, but I want you to think about this. The more that you are telling him this, the more you are saying, you are not good enough. Okay, I don't see in you someone who I can respect until you change. So, what do you think is going to happen when he hears that? Okay, that maybe if he works hard enough at it and makes all these changes, he might someday be a good enough man for you. Okay, I'm going to tell you what happens. This very smart, capable, thoughtful, incredible man that you married is being repelled by this barrage of honest communication that we've all been endlessly taught. And it's actually creating emotional distance in your relationship rather than emotional intimacy. Because you know what your husband really wants to see from you is your confidence in him that you married a wonderful man and you just naturally always expect that of him. And the truth is, you are meant to be pursued by him, adored by him, tenderly loved by him, and only him, right? There is no doubt about it. But telling him over and over, here's why you're failing me, here's what you need to work on, here's what you need to do and change and improve, this is not going to get you there. It's just going to keep creating that wall and the distance, and you're just going to keep seeing things get worse. Your relationship is meant to be the primary source of joy and love in your life, second only to God and His love. And you can absolutely have this. But the problem is that your communication is actually calling in the drama and creating this emotional distance. It's like we've had clients come into the program and they're like, I love my husband, but I feel like we're always on this kind of like cycle of like some good days and then like really, really bad ones. And it's always like up and down, like this roller coaster, and sometimes it's down for like a really, really long time. Okay. And it's like you can never break through to having this easy, stable relationship that just feels like you're finally at peace. Okay. Why is this happening? Okay. Is that you need to make the shift. Okay. The shift is number one, stop telling him to change. Even if he does, right? Even if he does, like I hear you and I get it. I understand. Okay. It feels like true. He really does need to do that. Okay. But stop telling him to change. Stop telling him that he's too broken. Stop focusing on his past. You're not here for the past. You're here to have intimacy now. Okay. So, number one, you stop that language. Okay. Number two, you start speaking the language that touches his innermost heart. Because when you do that, oh my gosh, he is going to make moves on you. He is going to make you feel his tender love for you like that. Like he will just roll out the red carpet for you and he will absolutely adore you for life. The truth is, you and I know that you are a precious treasure. You are a precious and beautiful treasure. That is who you are. And you do not have time for ongoing distance in your relationship. Like, you do not enjoy that. Your husband doesn't enjoy that. It does not glorify God. Okay? Your heart's desire is to experience a genuinely loving, satisfying, enduring, emotional bond with your husband right now and for the rest of your life. And that is also what God wants for you. It is what God wants for you. That's his plan, right? So when your marriage is tender and even romantic, God himself is glorified. Okay. Now, I want to tell you a little secret about your husband. Your husband is literally wired psychologically to be the hero who comes through for you. Okay. So that you look up to him and you admire him, right? He wants to please you. Like he loves to see you smile. Like, it actually excites and delights him like you wouldn't believe. And your husband right now is an amazing guy who cannot wait to show you the depths of his tender love for you. Like, it actually makes him really, really happy when he knows that he can do that. So the biggest shift that actually repairs your relationship and creates this lasting intimacy, it happens when you start speaking the language that touches his innermost heart. It's when you understand the psychology of intimacy between husband and wife, and you start speaking this language, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a new man has just arrived. It's like, what the heck just happened? Because the second that you start speaking to him in the way that actually touches his heart as a man, watch out, because he will come running to you with the most sincere love. Now, when I had this realization and I just started going around sharing this with other women, I'm going to be honest with you, like, I actually was wondering, like, could this actually work for very severely broken marriages, like couples who are separated? Like, I wondered, I thought to myself, like, maybe aren't some relationships just too far gone, or there's just too many issues involved, right? But the reality is, the second I started showing clients, even in really, really hard situations, the psychology of male-female intimacy, the language shift, those husbands came running back to their wives, even when they lived separately. What? And I'm like, honestly, I'm thinking this one client I served where, like, once she made this shift, her husband immediately apologized to her for his own part of the damage, right? Because he did things too he needed to apologize for. And all of a sudden, he just owned that and did it. He took steps on his own to work on himself and his personal issues. And he went out of his way to ensure that his wife felt genuinely taken care of. Like, he was so attentive and responsive to her needs. Like, now, why was that his response? Because she changed her message to him. It was no longer, you need to change. You're not good enough the way you are. Please change and get help. Right. Even though, like, given her circumstances, that really felt reasonable to say. Right. And I totally got that. I understood that for sure. But when she put the brake on that and then put the gas on the psychology of intimacy, it was like, boom, even separated couples were healing and reuniting. Okay. And the transformation, it was amazing. And it didn't even take long. Okay. And now you understand why. Because honestly, speaking to the innermost heart of your husband makes marriage so easy. It makes it so easy, okay? And again, we're not used to hearing that, okay? We've practically normalized, like, marriage has to be hard, okay? Now, let me say, toddlers, like, throwing up in your van, like, that's hard, okay? I'm not saying parenting isn't hard or something like that. I'm talking just about the marriage relationship, okay? But that we've normalized the idea that, like, the relationship of marriage has to be hard, okay? But the God honest truth is, your husband's heart is actually really simple. It's very simple. And by the way, I don't know any man who's ever felt offended when I say that. His needs are so simple, but as a culture, we have completely normalized missing the masculine heart. And when you do that, your marriage becomes super hard, okay? Because your husband, like any man in the world, will become repelled and emotionally distant. He'll become angry and defensive when the message to him is, you're not good enough the way you are right now. You need to change, even if he does. Okay, but when you speak the language that actually touches his innermost heart, he will run to you. He will adore you with the most tender love. Okay. And next thing you know, you will wake up in his arms and he will smile at you and put his arms around you and ask you, hey, beautiful, how are you doing? What else can I do for you today? And this will literally be your reality. So when you learn the psychology of intimacy, right, of male female intimacy, when you can shift into that language that actually touches the heart of a man, he will take action on your desires because he loves to win with you. Okay, honestly, like he just wants to be able to hear your heart clearly and win with you. Like literally, that's it. So, you don't want a relationship that's like up and down all the time. Like, you want your marriage to be peaceful and passionate, right? Sexy, romantic, because that's what glorifies God. Okay. And by the way, you glorify God by allowing your husband to love you like that and by the way that you honor him. Okay, so that the closeness of your emotional intimacy actually mirrors the kind of intimacy that God Himself desires to have with us. Okay, so like you're not here to just like make marriage work, right? You want to be cherished and adored, right? So that by receiving your husband's tenderness, you are giving glory to God. By receiving His love, you become a light and your marriage becomes a light that actually blesses others. So, these are the 3 steps that I created on the psychology of intimacy and the specific and very detailed shifts that empower a woman to attract her husband's tender love with ease without telling him, "Here's how you need to improve," okay? Because that's just gonna make things worse. It's not gonna help you improve at all, the relationship improve, okay? These are the tried and true woman to women secrets, okay? This is how you can wake up every day in his arms and experience that genuine emotional intimacy with him without the roller coaster of we're good, oh no, we're not good, oh, we're good, oh no, now we're fighting, oh, now he's not talking to me again. It's like, no, you do not have time for that. Okay. You want to just share your heart, and your husband is like, I get it, and I'm here to win with you. I love seeing you smile. Right? And there are 3 pieces to this. Okay, number 1, eliminate the drama and get more of what you want. Okay, so in this part, I show you in detail exactly the kind of language that sounds super normal, but is actually creating that emotional distance, distrust, and tons of drama in the relationship. And you can tell that this is happening. Okay, if you have a conversation with your husband and he first responds with defensiveness, maybe he gets upset or angry, or he eventually doesn't want to talk to you, he needs a break. Okay, if you're experiencing that at all, this part of the training helps you to fix that immediately, okay? And how do we do that? I'm gonna show you how to speak to the vision of what you want and to receive that in your relationship, right? It's intimacy-based, not problem-based, okay? You're not gonna be talking about the pain and the problems, okay? Because if you're speaking to that, you are literally calling in the drama, and your relationship is going to continue to feel hard, okay? So I'm gonna teach you how to shift out of that immediately, like quickly, right? We want this to happen fast. Okay, and you're gonna see a change in your relationship within literally 10 minutes, okay? It is totally amazing. It feels like a miracle is happening, but it's not. It's actually totally predictable, and I give you the tools to understand why. Okay, the second part is to learn how your man feels loved. Okay, so in the second piece, this goes into the precise detail of the psychology of intimacy so that you know how to touch the heart of your man in the deepest way. And this new foundation deepens and enhances your intimacy with it. So it's about what you're saying when you need something. Okay, it's about what you're saying when you need to discuss an important issue and make a decision for your family, right? It's about what you're saying when you want to talk about finances, when you want to enjoy financial intimacy. Oh my gosh. Have you ever thought about money? Okay. It's about the phrases that literally communicate the deepest respect for him. Okay. And you'll see that change in him instantly because you'll be leaning into how specifically he feels your love for him as a key part of taking your relationship to the next level of intimacy. And when you do this, it's like, oh my gosh, he will just come so alive for you. The reality is there are a lot of really, really good women in the world who have strong and even, loving feelings for their husbands, but they often struggle to communicate it in a way that makes sense to a man. And as a result, he starts experiencing a kind of an ongoing void. Okay. And now he's not going to tell you that because it's going to be very awkward for him. So he would never say that. But when you know how to fill that void, when you know how to speak to that, watch out because wow, he will, like I said, he will just roll out the red carpet for you. He will show up in ways you haven't seen him do in months or even years. He'll write you sweet notes. He'll be buying you flowers. He'll be planning dates for you. He'll be asking you more and more, like, how can I help you? Like, he wants to be the hero who comes through for you. And you're going to see that because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, this feels like I'm in the honeymoon season all over again. It's totally amazing. Then part three, increase tenderness and emotional intimacy. Okay. And this part is like you take all of this and it's just like you pour kerosene on this new fire that you have in your hearts for each other, right? And you deepen that emotional bond and intimacy. And I show you in detail how you share your heart in a way that actually attracts your husband's masculine, protective, and tender love for you. Like, what specifically is it about the way you share your feelings that makes him want to show up and just like wrap his arms around you and just hold you tight so like you feel so taken care of? Like, don't you love that? Like, I love that. I just absolutely love that. So I'm going to show you how to do that and also how to provide the space so that he wants to share his heart with you, right? His dreams that he has, right? That's where you're creating that depth of emotional bond, okay? And you'll be enjoying that every single day in your marriage. Okay, and of course, when you feel that and you experience that, you are opening to embodying that love sexually as the expression of your marriage vow, and you absolutely are just like delighting in one another. And wow, when you do that, marital intimacy is breathtaking. So the truth is, everything is going to change the minute you stop the communication that is pushing him away and start speaking to the innermost heart of your husband. He is delaying for only two reasons. He feels hurt and he feels like he can't win. Now, to you, this sounds crazy because it's like, how many times have you told him exactly what you want, right? But again, lots of talk and no action and no emotional intimacy, right? But the psychology of intimacy changes everything, okay? Like Elizabeth, who shared after doing the program, quote, I had no idea that the way I was communicating was hurting my marriage. I thought that good communication was honestly telling my husband why I was upset and explaining the obvious things that I thought he should be doing, but he would get angry and shut down. Now I know exactly what to do to get my needs met and to bring out his best. It's amazing, works fast, end quote. So if you are ready to know how to do this, like you are ready to step into like a new era of lasting peace, of having passion and intimacy in your marriage where you feel truly seen and known and deeply loved, tenderly as the precious and beautiful woman that you are, then I highly recommend joining us inside the Adored for Life program. This is my exclusive mastermind where you will learn exactly how to attract your husband's tender love with ease without telling him what he needs to change or to improve in his behavior. Because as you know now and will understand, okay, once you shift, he's just automatically going to start changing in response to you. Okay, that is the genius of it, and that's why it works so effectively. And this experience includes number one, the Adored for Life signature curriculum. This is 10 classes, and you fill out an application. There's a button below to fill out an application or a link. I will send you more of the details on the specifics of all of those classes. Number two, the experience also includes a high-level bi-weekly personal coaching support. Okay, this is a high-touch master level coaching support so that you get it and you move so quickly. Number three, it also includes weekly support emails to keep you on track and build momentum because we value speed, okay? We know what works and what doesn't, and we want you to get this transformation quickly. We want you to experience it now. So if you are ready for lasting tenderness and emotional intimacy in your relationship, if you are ready to be adored for life by shifting immediately into that language that attracts your husband's tender love with ease now and always, then the Adored for Life program is literally the best thing that you can do for your relationship. So you can apply for a spot below this video and it's going to take you to an application page. And I just want to let you know, like, we do not accept everyone. but I will personally be reviewing your application. And if we think that you are the perfect fit, we will reach out to you by email, have a conversation, send all the information over, and you can get started right away. All right, thank you for coming to this training. I hope that you loved it. I hope it totally blew your mind about what is genuinely possible for you. And personally, like I would have paid thousands of dollars for a training like this before I realized the cycle of emotional distance in marriage and what exactly is the pathway back to an intimate love. So I am super excited to be able to just give it to you today, and I hope to see you inside the Adored for Life program. God bless you.